Blog Talk Radio.
The following ingredients include a look behind the scenes, cooked uncovered until hot, add brews to taste.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl.
The accident was over a year ago. A second woman has been elected president. A 12th planet has been named in the solar system. The last wild polar bear has died. I slept through it all. I was here for my waking. He called it a beginning. He said it was good. I think he may have thought that anything I did was good.
Welcome to Transition Radio, live from Hollywood, Florida, with your host and hostess, Mark Angelo and Jessica Lynn Cummings. Show for trans folks by trans folks, here to let your voice be heard.
Hey, well, hello, and welcome to another edition of Transition Radio. We're so glad you're able to join us tonight on Friday night at 6:30 Eastern Time. We had a little problem there. We had to call ourselves back in, and the actual switchboard wouldn't let us in, but we're back and running and waiting for our guests to call. So if you're listening, Emmett, please call in. Sometimes technical difficulties arise and things just take place, and you know how it goes. Modern technology sometimes fails us. Anyway, tonight we have Emmett, a non-binary identified person who prefers male pronouns. But before we bring him on, we want to thank our sponsor, thebreastformstore.com. They have everything you need for your cross-dressing and transgender needs. Visit their website and tell them Transition Radio sent you. At 18, Emmett is a freshman at Drexel University, where he majors in information technology and participates in a weird alliance called Fuse Foundation of Undergraduates for Sexual Equality. Emmett was a student ambassador and intern at GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, where he organizes conferences and helps students combat bullying and create a safer school. He started the GSA in New York City High School in January it was, and 2010, and served as co-president. He has appeared in the media several times, speaking on issues such as bullying and suicide. As a religious Jew, Emma feels that spirituality is important in defining your identity as an individual. He enjoys reading, fooling around with computers, activism, and hanging out in his dorm. Now, Jessica's trying to reach Emmett, and we just finished reading his bio, and he's going to be calling in shortly. While we wait for Emmett to call, we wanted to make some announcements. The show will start to change in the summer months. We're going to go back to Tuesday nights at 6:30 for the radio show, and we're going to do the TV shows on Thursdays at 9 p.m. And those are great changes. I think we had more following when we did it Tuesday nights and Thursdays than we do now on Fridays and Sundays. We have great guests that are going to be joining us in the upcoming months, and great transformation videos on Transition Radio TV. It's amazing. The show has been going on since September, and it's one of those great things. And actually, we have Emmett now on the line, so we're going to bring him on now. Welcome to our show, Emmett. Hey, Emmett, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Emmett, how are you?
So,
we had a little difficulty with the switchboard.
Yeah. Things happen. in technology. So you're calling all the way from New York?
I'm on a bus, but yeah. It's
on a bus.
I think we're maybe in New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. That sounds
wow. I'm going to New York. I go to school in Philadelphia, but I live in New York, and I'm going home for the weekend, but I'm not there yet.
You're not there yet. I mean, it's interesting. Somebody on our Transition Radio group on Facebook asked the question, what actually is a non-binary identified person who prefers male pronouns?
Okay, so I don't identify with any particular gender. I prefer male pronouns, but I don't identify with any particular gender. I'm on the masculine end of the spectrum, but I don't choose to identify as male because I do have a lot of feminine tendencies, and I like them that way. And I don't think of myself as 100% male. I also don't fall under the I don't fall under the part of trans people who think like they were born trans. I have had a lot of different experiences in my life, and I think that the way that things happened, it just made it so that my gender identity was this way. If things were different, I don't know if I would not have been trans, but I might have identified as a different gender on the spectrum. So I don't know. I'm not a traditional trans guy.
And that's a beautiful thing. I think humanity loves to put themselves in boxes and think that everything is black and white, and there are many shades of gray. And I tip my hat off to you because I think that more and more people need to express that and realize that we're actually two-spirited, and we shouldn't just put ourselves in one particular box and say, this is what I am.
Exactly. Yeah. Emmett, what are your views on gender identity and the different spectrums in under the trans umbrella? Excuse me. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but...
I mean, I think that people are complicated. Like, you can't, like, I mean, it's fine to put yourself in boxes, and I understand why people do that, because you need to tell people who you are. It's hard when you can't express yourself, and you can't let people know who you are. But at the same time, I don't think that anyone is really like all like one gender. I mean, like, obviously gender exists, but I feel like everyone's different, and the scale is so much bigger than we think it is, that everyone is in a different place. I don't think there's like two people who are the same.
Exactly. That is true. And there's a lot of education, a lot of growing, a lot of evolving in the human spirit and this human experience that we're having. And I think when people start breaking down the barriers and stop looking at things so concrete, we will evolve and grow as spirit beings. Now, Emmett, tell me a little bit about the organizations that you belong to, like FUSE and GSA, and your involvement with them.
Wait, what did you say? Sorry, hold on.
The organizations that you're involved with.
Oh, okay.
FUSE,
FUSE. So FUSE is the undergraduate LGBTQ organization on my campus. I go to Drexel University. I haven't been that involved with them so far. I'm only a freshman, so it's hard for me to really have everything under my belt. But they're really great. They do a lot of advocacy work. They have, their regular stuff is mostly about discussion and promoting like education and awareness about LGBTQ issues on campus, and they also have an activist arm called Spark, which is more advocacy based and will do like more kind of events and protest type things and stuff. It's really, really great. I really enjoy being in it. They're just a great group of people. GSA is something that I started. It's a Gay Straight Alliance. It's something that I started in my high school. And I went to I graduated last year, and I went to a Jewish day school, private Jewish day school, where there was no out students at all, and I became the first out student, kind of unknowingly, and I decided that I was going to start a GSA because I felt like it was something important for me to do, to leave a legacy at school and to let kids know that it is okay to come out. So we did that, and it's still there, and it's very small. There's usually like 5 or 6 kids in it, but the school is only 300 kids, so you kind of have to think about that on that scale. And also just like it's better than nothing, I feel like. And just knowing that it's still there and people still care is really important to me. And hopefully one day I hope to, in a couple of years, maybe when I'm a senior in college or something, go back to my old high school and see like that there are more out students and that things are happening there, as opposed to just like it just being me, all those years ago. I'm also a National Advisory Council member at GLSEN, which is actually where I'm going right now. GLSEN is the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network. They're, as the name implies, they're mostly focused on education, anti-bullying policy, trying to protect K through 12 students from discrimination and harassment in school based on sexual orientation and gender identity. And they really helped me a lot in high school. They sponsor, big events like Day of Silence, and they helped me a lot in high school. I was a student ambassador for them for a while, so I would go on different media outlets, like I'd be on like CBS or ABC or something, and like talk about the organization and my experiences and stuff. And I also interned in their office for a summer when I was a senior in high school, so that was fun. And I really enjoy working for them, and now I'm on their National Advisory Council, so I basically I'm one of the young people that they, have to advise their board and the direction that the organization is going to go in.
Wow, that's awesome. And speaking of that, let me ask you, how is your campaign against bullying and creating safer schools going? It's going pretty well. Drexel is an interesting place. I know kids who are trans who are very, very happy there, and I know kids who are stealth. I know kids who are not, and they're all very happy. But I also know kids who are not so happy, and I think it has to do a lot with the fact that Drexel's policies aren't the most trans-friendly. They don't have, like, trans-friendly health insurance. They don't have gender-neutral housing. Your preferred name isn't, it's not a easy thing to get everywhere. I did it, but I only did it because
I convinced them that I was going to get my name changed really soon after I enrolled in the school. So they would just put it there anyway so they wouldn't have to change it afterwards. But, people in the school mostly are very nice. But I've also had encounters with some professors who, just don't really understand. And I think, it's really hard, especially if you weren't out before college, because for me, I had experience with this. I knew what it was like going into it. I had to deal with it in high school. I had to deal with it with my parents, so I knew what it was like. But I think that if you come out during college and you wake up and find, that your school isn't the safest place for you anymore, it's really hard. And so I think my next kind of step is that I want to do more to help trans kids in college who are just coming out, because that, as opposed to the LGBT part of the community, where more and more kids are coming out in high school, trans kids tend more to come out in college, and especially because it's after they're already away from their parents and they're free to explore different parts of their gender identity, just because the gender identity and all that kind of stuff is not as accepted as different sexual orientations. So I think that there needs to be more resources out there for trans kids in college. And, there are really great organizations out there like Campus Pride. I wrote an article on their blog a couple of months ago about how trans people have sexual orientations. And they're just a really great organization. They have a really excellent list of LGBT-friendly colleges that they put up every year, and they go into really specific detail and list all the things that are good and bad about the colleges. So I really appreciate that. Unfortunately, my college is not on a list, but I strive to get them there someday. Anyway, so basically what I'm trying to say is even though I'm involved in GLSEN, and GLSEN is a K-12 organization, and I do still want to continue to help K-12 kids because I did struggle a lot in high school, but I also want to move on to expand what I do to help college kids too, because I see people struggling and I want to help.
Great. Absolutely. Emmett, I am a spiritual man, not religious in nature. Can you explain to our listeners your views on spirituality and the importance of it? You define your
so I was raised conservative Jewish, and it's really shaped who I am. I know a lot of people, especially trans people and just people in general who are raised in a religious community might not enjoy it so much or feel the need to rebel or backlash against the community. But I never had an experience with my community where I felt like people were coming down on me because of any part of our religion. Judaism is a beautiful religion. It's not only a beautiful religion, it's a beautiful tradition. And though I may not observe every single part of the laws that Judaism prescribes, I feel the connection with my people and my ancestors and all the things that Jews have gone through over the years. My grandmother is a Holocaust survivor. I lost a part of my family in the Holocaust, so that's also a part of me, and I think that being spiritual is important to me because it guides me on the right path. I do, like everyone, I get lost sometimes, and I don't know where I'm going, and I have to make decisions and I don't know what to do. And for me, just being spiritual, being part of my Jewish community, being surrounded by people who understand my history, and being connected to, a higher power, it helps me to figure out a lot of things in my life, and it has definitely helped me, being trans. I feel like it's been easier for me to be trans and be spiritual at the same time. I wouldn't want it any other way. I know that, it's hard for some people, and especially people who have had the experience where people in their spiritual faith have come down on them for their trans identity as based on, a spiritual kind of law. But I believe that people should be free to experience spirituality regardless of gender identity, and that there is no boundary really for what you can and can't believe. It's only what people tell you that you can't and can't believe. And I feel very blessed to be able to connect to my community in this way, and I also feel that I feel very grateful for the way that I was brought up in the community. I know religious school isn't for everyone, and I didn't always go to religious school, not until I was in middle school. And if you had asked me probably before that if I wanted to go, I don't think I would have. But it definitely shaped me as a person, and it wasn't only about the traditions and the laws and all the things that we learned, but it was about the values that our community instilled in us. And Judaism has this concept called tikkun olam, which means repairing the world. And I believe that part of when I'm doing my advocacy and my activism and being a trans person, that is part of repairing the world and part of helping things to get better. And so I don't know. I think that's also something I strongly believe in.
And it sounds like you're very passionate about your beliefs, and that's important. We all should stand behind our beliefs and move forward and try to help heal the world, whatever belief systems we have. But it's always good to have some form of belief system that carries us through.
Absolutely. Are there any projects for you in the future, and do you have a message you wanted to share with the world?
I just want to say, that if you're listening, first of all, I'm really happy that you're listening to this. But second of all, just, don't give up hope. I know things, a lot of times seem, bad, and not just bad because you're trans or bad because, of any particular thing, but just bad. I know I've had a really bad week this week. I was really sick at the beginning of the week. I had a math quiz today, and I don't think I did so well on it. But you can't dwell on what already happened, and you just have to keep moving on and look for the bright things and, look forward to things that are going to happen for you, and it'll be okay. So, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say.
Definitely. One of the chatters who actually is going to be our guest next week, bus.Emet, says, hope equals to keep alive, never give up. And that is so true. I mean, we transgender individuals and anybody in the LGBT end up having a lot of problems with depression and giving up and just living life to the minimum. instead of like really enjoying life. Well, anyway, Emmett, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you, Emmett. It was a pleasure having you.
Okay, thank you.
Have fun with your family and enjoy.
Have a safe trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you
Okay,
for doing the
bye.
show on the bus. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. We wanted to make. I read this particular article, and it struck me because as transgender individuals, I believe have some part of being intersex, and we know that gender is actually inside the brain. So here's the article. Couple sues over adopted son's sex assignment surgery. A South Carolina couple sued doctors and state social workers on Tuesday for subjecting a 16-month-old child born with both male and female genitalia to what they say. Okay, my computer's not working now. What? Froze. Okay, let's go back. Today is one of those days. To say with medically unnecessary and irreversible sex assignment surgery while the toddler was in foster care. The state and federal lawsuits believed by the couple's lawyer to be the first of their kind in the United States argue that doctors should not have performed surgery to make the child's body appear to be female when they knew they could not predict how gender would develop.
The child, now 8 years old, has shown strong signs of identifying as a male and recently began living as a boy. According to Pam and Mark Crawford, who adopted him after the surgery, the couple, a psychiatrist, and stay-at-home dad said they are taking legal action in the hopes of helping other children who face similar medical conditions. We feel very strongly that these decisions to permanently alter somebody's genitalia and their reproductive ability for no medical reason whatsoever is an abhorrent practice and cannot be continued, Pam Crawford said in a phone interview.
It is too late for our son, she added. The damage has been done to him. The lawsuit filed in the state court in Columbia names South Carolina's Department of Social Services, Greensville Hospital System, and Medical University of South Carolina as defendants. Spokeswoman for the State Department and the hospital system said they could not comment on the pending litigation, which alleges gross negligence and medical malpractice based on a lack of informed consent.
A spokeswoman for the Medical University of South Carolina, where the surgery took place, said the suit would be reviewed by the hospital's leadership and general counsels. The child, identified only as MC, was born in South Carolina in November 2004 and entered the state's foster care system in February of 2005 after being removed from the custody of his biological parents. Shortly after he was born, doctors noted that he had ambiguous genitals and both male and female reproductive organs, the lawsuit said.
Though doctors determined that he could be raised as either a boy or a girl, they opted for genital surgery that made the child's body look female, a decision that Crawford said was premature because his dominant gender identity had not yet emerged. The surgery eliminated MC's potential to procreate as a male and caused significant and permanent impairment of sexual function, according to the finding of the state court. The doctors knew that sex assignment surgery on infants with conditions poses a significant risk of imposing a gender that is ultimately rejected by the patient, and the lawsuit says.
The federal lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court in Charleston, South Carolina, says the surgery violated the child's constitutional rights. Sex assignment surgeries on infants with intersex conditions, previously called hermaphrodism, have been performed since the 1950s. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center for Informed Choice, which are helping represent the Crawfords and their child, the medical procedures often are performed without the risks being fully explained, the group said.
Doctors often assume they have to do surgery to make their bodies fit the stereotypes, as Ann Tamartis, executive director of Advocate Informed Choice, a legal advocacy group for children born with variation of reproductive or sexual anatomy. In the case of the Crawford child, the doctors knew from the beginning that there was a strong probability that this child would be a boy. A couple of months ago, in consultation with a pediatrician, the Crawford said their son made the transition to live as a boy and has been accepted as one by his friends.
But they added that the long-term consequences of the surgery are heartbreaking to try to explain to him. It's really tough because he's now asking the questions about how he can be like everybody
Well, we have 10 seconds before the show goes off the air. Thank you guys for joining us. Remember, we love you.
Remember we love you,
but remember to love yourselves too. What a show. Technical difficulties all day. Anyway, join us. Woo! We're ready to start today. Emma, all the way from France. That is going to be a wonderful interview. And thank you guys for joining us again on a Friday night. And we're going to have Jessica Sims, she goes by 4, and she'll be our guest next Friday at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time.
And we want to thank Emmett for being on the show, and hope he arrives to his destination safely and has a fun, safe trip.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Good night, and take care. Have a great weekend.
Good night.